Hey all you cool cats and kittens, welcome to Newlands College Social Sciences TV. Today we're going to walk through the Year 10 Litter Assessment. This assessment requires you to find out where all the seats are in Newlands College and where all the rubbish bins are, and hopefully find out whether the seats are near the rubbish bins and whether we need to improve that. That's the first part of this assessment, so I'm going to walk you through that today. Part of this assessment is that you need to wander around the college and find the seats and rubbish bins. Obviously, if you are on lockdown 2021, that's not going to happen. So what I'll be doing today is providing that data for you, which was collected by some other Year 10 classes, shout out 10MC, who collected this data prior to lockdown. So the first thing you need to do is get yourself into ArcGIS online. So you go to newlands.maps.arcgis.com and this will take you through to this spot. Log in with your login credentials, which is your school username _ Newlands and then the passwords, which hopefully you can remember. If you can't, just click on the reset password button and I'll get an email. So anyway, the place you want to go to is map. Up there, click on map, and what that should take you to is a blank map. There's New Zealand. What we want to do is add to this map the layers of where the seats are in Newlands College and where the rubbish bins are in Newlands College. So I'm going to click on the add button and I'm going to click search for layers. And the first thing you need to do is change my content to my group's content. And I have way more layers than you do, but what you should be finding there is there's a layer there called rubbish bins and another layer called seating locations. So if we click on rubbish bins, there it is. I'm going to add that to the map. And I'm going to click on seating locations and I'm going to add that to the map as well. So now we need to zoom on in. This can be a bit tricky, but if you hold your mouse cursor exactly over where those wee dots are, it looks like one dot at the moment, and zoom on in, you can see there that we have a place that's got a whole pile of dots. Some are orange and some are blue. So I'm just going to close these windows and go back here, and I'm going to click on the Content tab up here. And that's going to show me my two layers. So we've got seating locations. I can turn them off and on. So the seating locations are in the orange, and the rubbish bins, I can turn them off and on. They're in the blue. Okay, so now we need to change the base map. If you're reading along with me in the assessment, we're suddenly already at task 2F, now up to task 2G. Up here we've got a thing called base map, and just so we know exactly what we're talking about here, if we click on the New Zealand imagery base map, suddenly it looks a bit more familiar because we can see the buildings and things, so we can see where the seats are and where the rubbish bins are, at least according to the data that was collected by this group. There may be some errors in that. The next thing we need to do, according to the assessment, is untick the seating location. Let's untick the seating locations. And on the rubbish bin, we want to change this to a heat map. And so we're going to go and click on these wee shapes here. It's got a circle, a square, and a triangle. Change style is what we want to do. Instead of having it all as little dots, I want to change this to a heat map. So there is a heat map that now shows that where the rubbish bins are concentrated, which appears to be in this part of the college. So click on done, and we are done there. The next thing we need to do is save this map. So up here is the save button. I'm going to click save as, and you need to name it with your username, and then call it outdoor rubbish bins in Newlands College. and then you can save your map. Cool, that is the first one. Later on you're going to take that map that we've just created here and you're going to put it into a assessment presentation tool, which is called Story Maps. But anyway, that's the first map created. The second map that we need to create, this is task 3 on the assessment, produce a map that shows where there are not enough rubbish bins for the seating area. So what we're saying here is that we're going to assume that any seat that is not within 10 metres of a rubbish bin is too far away. What we tend to find at Newlands College is that if students have to walk more than 10 metres to a rubbish bin, they may not bother and they'll instead use the rubbish bin of throwing it over your shoulder. So let's work out how to do that. So the first thing we need to do is turn on our seating locations again. There they are. And the orange dots, and we want to click analysis and use proximity create buffers. Okay, here's analysis, and use proximity and create buffers. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the seating locations in box 1. Have I got this right? No. Select the rubbish bins to go into box 1. Okay. And we want to put a 10 metre buffer zone around the rubbish bins. So I'm going to make this 10, change kilometres to metres. Then we are going to name this this box, and so name this layer or map. And so we'll call this your username, and then a 10 metre buffer zone around rubbish bins. 10 metre buffer zone around rubbish bins. And that's what we need there. And then we're going to run the analysis. So what this is currently doing is it's drawing a 10 metre circle around all of the rubbish bins. And this can take a wee bit of time. We know it's doing something because the wee circle's going around and around. Yeah, so how's lockdown going? Well, you can't answer me. Okay, well, we'll just sit here and wait for it to do its thing. And lo and behold, it's done its thing. So now what we can see is we can see these blue circles where the 10 metre buffer zones around the rubbish bins are. Let's just turn off the initial rubbish bin layer so we can see it a bit clearer. There we go. All right. So next thing we want to do is we want to take away all the seats that are within these blue circles, because the ones that are within these blue circles are close enough to a rubbish bin for people to go and walk to and put their rubbish in when they're sitting outside. So if we take all the blue circles and remove all the orange dots that are inside the blue circles, that will leave us with just the seats which are not near a rubbish bin. So here's the steps we need to go through to do that. We're going to click on analysis again, and this time we're going to go to manage data. And we're going to overlay layers, and in box number 1 we're going to the input layer up the top here, we're going to take a 10 metre buffer zone that we've created. So there's our 10 metre buffer zone, and the overlay layer that we want to put in there is going to be the seating location. No, I've got this wrong. Seating locations go on the first one, sorry. And the second one, we got a 10 metre buffer zone around there, and we are wanting to do an erase because we're wanting to take our seating locations and minus off all of the areas that are in the blue. So it's an erase, and we're going to call this username, throw that in there, and we're going to call this seats not within 10 metres of a rubbish bin. Cool. Then we are going to click on Run Analysis. And it's going to do its thing. If you make a few mistakes and do this over and over and over, you may run out of credits, which is a thing that ArcGIS uses. Don't panic. What will happen is I'll get an email saying you've run out of credits, and I'll just give you some more, but it may take a while for me to wake up and do that. So just hang fire and try again tomorrow. That's just to stop us spending all of this college's credits all in one go by doing crazy stuff. Alright, so now what we should have are places. Let's just take seats not within 10 meters. I'm going to turn every layer off, and all we're left with now are these dots. These dots are showing all the seats that we identified earlier that don't have a rubbish bin near them. And if we were going to make a recommendation to the school, which you'll be doing later in this assessment, you'll be saying, hey, maybe we should put some rubbish bins near these seats where people are sitting, but they don't have anywhere to put their rubbish. And so where they're going to put it is under the seat or something. Again, this is assuming that this data is accurate. It may not be, but we'll go with it. Run analysis, turn off all layers just done, yep. Click change style button for the seats and select seating number in box 1. Can't remember what this task is, but let's have a look. Change style for the seats not within 10 meters of a rubbish bin and select seating number in box 1. Oh, yeah, okay. Now I remember what this is. And box 1, drawing styles as accounts and amounts. That's that one. And click done. Cool. What we can see now is the bigger the dot, the more seats there are, apparently. So the bigger the dots, when the people collected this data, it showed that there were large big seating area, like 10 people can sit here, means a bigger circle. So the bigger dots presumably would have more people sitting there, more in need of a rubbish bin, I guess is what that shows. Alright, we're going to save this map. Save as, and I'm going to call this one Newlands College seating not near rubbish bins. Okay. Yeah, fat fingers, and we'll save that map. Cool. You have now done task 1, 2, and 3 of this assessment, and I'll go into what you need to do in a later video. Hope you enjoyed that, and if you didn't, watch it again and enjoy it next time. Thanks.